guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDonk.com, here with the Pantech Crux from Verizon Wireless and the Samsung Solstice 2 from at&t. Both of these are feature phones, no physical keyboards. They do both have touchscreens, cameras. They're both very similar devices, but they're on different networks. So say you're trying to decide, which network you should go with. Should you get one of these phones? Well, we're going to put them head to head in this dogfight, and hopefully it will help you to decide. So we're going to compare them, see which one is better, which one comes out the winner, and then in the end you can decide which one best fits you and your needs. So it's the Pantech Crux from Verizon Wireless and the Samsung Solstice 2 from at&t dogfight. I'm Sydney from PhoneDonk.com. Let's go check it out. Do you like my new chair? It's all like leathery and stuff and executive. Anyway, on to the dogfight. Okay, so here are the two phones, the Solstice 2 on the left, the Pantech Crux on the right, and in a lot of ways, as far as physical design, they're very similar. Neither one of them has a physical keyboard, so they're pretty thin, as you can see, and also pretty much the same size. The Crux is a little bit taller, but they're both very thin, very light. I did notice that the Crux has just a little bit more stylish design. If you look at it, the material is a little more glossy, whereas the Solstice 2 is kind of just a flat plastic. It does have the interesting curved line there, but the Pantech Crux just seem to have a little more stylish design, seem to look a little better. You also have the interesting slide to unlock feature. It's not a slider phone, it doesn't have a physical keyboard, but it really just, the sliding mechanism is simply to unlock the phone. Not a whole lot of purpose there besides that, but some people may find that interesting. To me, it was sort of just another gimmick, but overall, the Crux just seemed to have a little more stylish design. But the Solstice 2 also looks pretty great, which is one of the things that I was, kind of impressed by. It didn't look just like a basic, standard cheap phone. They did manage to make it look a little more cooler, or a little more cool. Now, when we get to the screens here, the Pantech Crux has a 3-inch capacitive touchscreen. It has a resolution of 240 by 320, so it's a QVGA display. The Solstice 2 also has a 3-inch display, also a capacitive touchscreen. Resolution is a little different, it's 240 by 400. So, just slightly different, but really, once you look at them, there's not really a whole lot of difference. The size is the same, and both of them were pretty impressive in terms of, colors, and just overall the quality of the display. So, right now, just because of the wallpapers that I have on the Solstice 2, the colors show up a little bit better. The theme that I have set on the Crux is basically just a white theme. But whenever you do get into pictures, whenever you look at them, the display does look pretty good. So display is basically the same. Now I mentioned that both devices have a capacitive touchscreen, and it's not up to par with what you'll get on with a smartphone that has a capacitive touchscreen. The quality isn't that good, but it's still better than what it could be. It's better than what I've seen on other feature phones that have a capacitive touchscreen. So scrolling was pretty smooth. There is going to be a little bit of a lag, which is expected just because they're feature phones. They don't have the 800 megahertz processors or 1 gigahertz. So there is a little bit of a lag, but it wasn't too bad. As far as scrolling, the Crux was a little more iffy. I found the Solstice 2 to be a little bit better, but it was really a minor difference. I did find the Solstice 2 to be just generally better with scrolling. It just seemed to respond better, whereas on the Crux, sometimes I may have had to perform the same action twice before I got the response that I wanted. Now, there wasn't too much of a difference, but I did find the Solstice 2 was better. Okay, so I'll talk now a little bit about the UI on each device. And they're both kind of different and sort of similar. They both have 3 main screens. You can see they're on the Crux. The Solstice also has 3 screens. The Crux, each screen or each page has its own designation. So this display here is basically a condensed version of the main menu, and then you can have some shortcuts down here to your favorite contacts. You have a page for social networking and emails, basically. Oops. And then The third page is for media, so you can have shortcuts here to pictures or video or music. So, you know, each page is you're really tied down as to what you can do on each page, and then like this page, you can't really change it at all. You can't decide what shortcuts are on this page. You can't decide how they're arranged. It's kind of just there, and it's already set. You don't really have a lot of freedom, which, you know, may be fine for some people, may not bother you, and you may really like it. And you have a single navigation key, which will take you either back to the main screen or back out to this little triangle that you can rotate. So, you know, some people may like that, but you are kind of tied down, whereas on the Solstice 2, you have a lot more freedom because each page it's just blank. You can change the wallpaper. You have a widget drawer where you can, you know, you select what widget you would like to have on each display, widgets and shortcuts, so you can try that out. So it's a lot more freedom. You know, not only that, but you have a lot of options as to which widgets you would like on each screen. So, you know, personally, you know, my opinion in testing them out, I found that the Solstice 2 was, you had more freedom, is a little more interesting, more options, whereas the Crux kind of, it was tied down, and also there's a lot of things to me that just, you know, didn't make sense. For example, you know, this page, it's true that you have shortcuts to MySpace, Twitter, Facebook, and then Gmail, but actually all of those shortcuts take you to Social Beat. It's an app that brings all of that together. So all of these shortcuts take you to one app, which doesn't really make sense to me. So, you know, it's just little things like that that kind of, you know, you're tied down. You know, I didn't really see any point to it, but, you know, you may like that. Some people may prefer TouchWiz, where you have more freedom, more customization features. Now, we'll go on to, you know, in terms of media, the Pantech Crux was really made for media. It has these media controls on the top of the device for controlling your music whenever you're playing music. You also have a 3.5mm headphone jack, and then the music player. And then because you're on Verizon's network, you have access to their Vcast music store with Rhapsody. So if we go to music and we'll play a song, I downloaded a song from Vcast. From the Vcast store. It's Katy Perry, not because I like her, just because it was the first one that came up. So if we play the song, you can go back to home and it will continue to play the song, so it plays in the background. And then you can also use these as media controls to play the song or pause it, skip forward, or go back. So, you know, in terms of media and music, the Crux definitely wins. The Samsung Solstice doesn't even have a headphone jack. It just has this micro USB port, which, you know, you could find a way to get some headphones to plug into it. You know, it does have a music player, but really the Crux wins in terms of if you are, you know, big on listening to music or media, it's nice to have those features. Now, also along with media, they both have cameras, obviously, as most phones do, and the Solstice 2 has a 2-megapixel camera. The Pantech Crux has a 3-megapixel camera. You know, there's no flash, no autofocus. The Solstice 2 has a fixed focus, but, you know, not a whole lot of differences. So the Crux it is, you know, a little better 3-megapixel, but there's really not going to be a whole lot of difference there in terms of quality. They both capture video. The Solstice captures QVGA quality video. Pantech Crux is VGA quality video. So again, it's a little better. But, you know, it's really only meant for basic snapshots to send, you know, to your friends if just send it via an MMS or a text message. Now, another thing I forgot to mention is that along with, you know, in terms of media, the Pantech Crux also ships with a 1 gig micro SD card. So here's the slot, and then it ships with a 1 gig. You can see it in there. The Solstice 2 also has a micro SD card slot, but it doesn't ship with an actual card. It supports up to 16 gigabytes of memory. The Pantech Crux supports up to 32 gigabytes of memory. So again, you know, just emphasizing the Crux is really meant for media, and in that way, it really excels. Now we'll go on to battery performance, because battery is pretty important whenever you're using a phone. The Solstice 2 has a 1000 milliamp hour battery. The Crux has a 1100 milliamp hour battery. I found that the Solstice 2 had excellent battery life. On standby, it lasted nearly a week. Even with use, I got nearly 3 days of use. So excellent battery life. A lot of that is going to depend on what widgets you have currently running on your screen. So right now I have a Twitter widget. There's also a Facebook widget. So if you have a lot of that going on, it's going to drain the battery more. But I found that battery life was excellent. Whereas on the Crux, I accidentally pushed play. Even though the numbers are better, 1100 compared to 1000, it was not as good. Battery life was not as good as the Solstice. On standby, I barely managed to get 3 days, just on standby, and then with use, it was about a day and a half, 2 days. It's enough to get you through a full day until you can charge it at night, and again, that's going to depend on how much you're using the media player. But it really wasn't that great compared to the Solstice 2, which had excellent battery life. So lastly, we'll talk about price. And for a lot of people, this is what it comes down to. Just the phones themselves, Verizon and AT&T have different plans, which will depend on, if you're going to get a family plan or an individual plan. But the price of the actual phones, the Solstice 2 is $29.99 on contract, and the Pantech Crux is $49.99. Now, you may be able to find it for cheaper if you shop around or if they're having some special, but that's the price that's advertised on the website. So, the Crux is a little bit more expensive. And, to summarize, basically along those lines, it's really up to you if you think it's worth it to pay the extra money, and then probably the extra money for the plan too, because Verizon is usually, their plans are usually more expensive than AT&T. But, I would say the Crux would be worth it to buy if you're really into music. If you're going to be doing a lot of music listening or listening to a lot of music, the Crux would be better because it has a music player, has a MIDI controller, 3.5mm headphone jack, it ships with a 1GB card. You really can't beat that. Whereas if you're not really so big on music, I would probably recommend the Solstice 2 because to me the UI seemed more customization features, a little more accommodating, made a little more sense to me. And also, the price is cheaper. So, personal opinion, but if you're looking for and also the Solstice 2 had a little bit better touchscreen in terms of typing and sending out messages. So that would be, my final say. Music listeners definitely get the Crux. If it doesn't, if you don't do a lot of listening to music, the Solstice 2 is probably the better phone. But anyway, there it is, guys. Those are the facts, and then I will let you guys decide which one is best for you personally, because it varies, person to person. But thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, my screen name is It's My Job to Know. You can also check out Phone Dog's Facebook page because right now, this is huge, guys. Don't turn off the video yet. We are video. Do people still use that word, video? I guess so. Every time I think of video, I always think of VHS, like actual tapes, but don't push pause yet, basically. Right now, Phone Dog is giving away iPads, BlackBerry Playbooks, and Galaxy Tabs. We're giving away tons of tablets, and you have options. You can pick which one you want. All you have to do is go to our Facebook page, like us, and there's a small sweepstakes form you have to fill out just so we know what your name is and where to send it. And that's it. It's really simple, guys. So check out facebook.com/phonedog, also phonedog.com for more news, updates, and reviews. But anyway, thanks, guys. I'm done. I'm Sydney from phonedog.com. I'll see you guys later.